Cincinnati is putting pressure on Nashville. They blow out the enemies on their home court by 20 points in Game 5, the fourth of Game 6 back in Cincinnati. The enemies were led by Chris Duarte's 16 points. My boy Zay Phil had 13. He struggled from the floor. Valanciunas had 12. B.I. struggled from the floor, only had 11 points. The team just struggled offensively. For the Lions, they were led by Lamelo Ball's 23 points. P.J. Washington had 19. Michael Porter Jr. with 14. My boy Dez with 10 points. Bam had 8 points. Just really good team win for Cincinnati in this one, as they are forcing this series back to Cincinnati for Game 6. Are they going to make noise and force a Game 7, or can Nashville get the job done? Let's find out.
They've got Nikola Jokic. Jaren Jackson is out there with White. Then there's Monte Morris. And it's Hardy in at the 2. To the inside. And Jokic with the basket on the assist by Morris.
Plays a rugged game down low. Jokic's toughness adds character to the identity of this team.
Down low. 5-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. Thompson with the bucket.
Klay Thompson.
Thompson's got the lead up to 14 now for Toronto.
They just blocked out the noise, kept on grinding, and this is their reward.
And guess what? It's going to be a fun flight home. Total team effort. Big win on the road.
And they're going to move on to the conference semifinals. They had control the whole series, and they are just rolling now, winning round 1, 4-1.
And they are going to be tough to beat, Kevin. A few days rest afforded by taking this one in 5. Round 2 should be exciting as well.
Steph Curry does not allow a 3-1 lead to get blown this time. For the first time in our Custom League series, we will have Steph Curry in round 2 as Toronto takes down Illinois 186 in Game 5 to win the series 4-1, as Toronto will move on to the second round, where they take on the winner of the Baltimore, Florida series. That should be fun. Shout out Illinois for a great season. Jokic led the way in the last game of the season with 23, 13, and 7. With Salil Ahmed scoring 19 points to help out. Jaden Hardy had 12 points. And then Jaren Jackson just struggled. Only 10 points in this one. Maybe if he performed a little better, they would have won this series. But shout out Jokic, MVP finalist. A great season for him and Illinois as they got the 4 seed. For Steph Curry, he drops 38 points to wrap up this series. And Klay helps him out with 23 as they combine for 61 points to send Illinois home. Vassell had 12 points. D'Angelo Dawkins with 8, 4, and 5. As Toronto is now moving on to round 2. Like I said, we'll play the winner of the Baltimore, Florida series. Congrats, Toronto, for moving on, and congrats, Illinois, for a great season.
1:44 left to play in the fourth quarter. Here's Paul, and there's the whistle. He'll head to the line to shoot 2.
Chris Paul, when he gets into those tight spots, he becomes pretty smart in them.
He hits the first one, and that increases the lead to 6. Second one is good, getting both at the line, and it's a 7-point game.
Yeah, the lead getting safer and safer as these free throws from the stripe go in.
Time called here. Los Angeles decides to talk it over. They trail by 7. 1:41 left in the fourth quarter here. And now we present our New Balance player of the game, Sadiq Bey.
This is special. We are witnessing a legendary performance here tonight. He is like levels above everyone else on the floor. Something must have clicked for him in warm-ups tonight. He's just come out and he has run wild.
Yeah, this is something he will remember forever. These types of performances in the playoffs are what define a player's legacy. A chance here to catch up with Allie from the sideline.
Thanks, guys. I got a chance to hear what Monty Williams was saying to his team. First and foremost, he wants to see more points in the break. He asked his team, where's the urgency? We know what we can do in transition. Now let's go out and do it. We'll see if they can pick up the tempo, guys.
All right, appreciate it, Allie. We've got Cole Anthony, Jason Tatum out there with Kuminga. Then it's Hampton, and it's Towns in at the center position. Here's Tatum. Can't drop it in from the right block. Fantastic ball movement for them tonight.
Things are definitely working offensively. A balanced attack is just so much harder to defend.
Hey, no good. For Los Angeles, they've gotten 7 of 16 attempts to drop since the start of the fourth. And the 3 off target. They've got time on their side here, Grant.
And if they're smart, they'll milk the clock a little.
Towns against Green. Doubled by Towns. Down to 5 on the shot clock. From downtown. And it's Green missing.
Things aren't looking good here. I mean, they need points, and they need them now.
Looking unlikely right here. That time ticking away. We'll have a hard time shaking that one off. Perfect position, plenty of space. Just planked it.
Pure from three-point range.
And they came in here with some attitude, and it brought out their best play.
Yeah, looks like a veteran team tonight. Getting out on the road, playing with assertiveness, confidence, fully in control for this win.
They've won it. Next stop, conference semifinals. They really took control of this series in impressive fashion, and now they're on to the second round.
Hopefully this is some momentum they can continue to build upon. That energy will make them difficult to contend with.
Alaska keeps the 6 seeds rolling in the playoffs. They have never lost a first round game now, as Alaska, well, series, not game. They of course lost games, but Alaska keeps the 6 seed perfect in round 1 as the Aces win 100-90 to move on to round 2, where they will face the winner of the Colorado Springs Minnesota series. So congrats Alaska, and congrats to LA for another successful season, being the 3 seed for a second straight year. That's the only bad part, getting beat out back-to-back years now in the first round. Wait a minute, they didn't get beat out in the first round last year, did they? No, they were the 4 seed last year, but second time in 3 seasons that they've been the 3 seed, knocked out by the 6 seed. But congrats to them. Jason Tatum led the way with 22 points for them. Mo Wagner, Mortrice, I think that's how you say it, 19 points. Cole Anthony had 11 points. Cat he needed to score more. He scored 6 points in this game. Just needed to score more, be more aggressive in this series if LA was going to be able to move on. Sadiq Bey led the way with 27 points for the Aces in an elimination game. Chris Paul had 22. DeAndre Ayton didn't really perform like that today, but it's cool for him to take the back seat. Carmelo with 11. Tyus Jones had 15. Just really good team win for Alaska as they move on in 5 games over LA. And like we said, we'll play the winner of the Colorado Springs Minnesota series. But congrats to LA for a great year. And congrats to Alaska for moving on. And if you remember last year, Alaska was the 8 seed, upset the number 1 seed, then beat this same LA Palms team in the second round to get to the conference finals before falling to Las Vegas, who was the 6 seed. But maybe, because the 6 seed in the West has went to back-to-back finals, so is Alaska going to just keep the trend going of 6 seeds out West going to the finals? We'll find out next round.
And they call the 8-second violation. Too much time getting it up court. Oakland making a switch here. Maxi's checked in. Kemba Walker is out there with Rose. Then it's Clint Capella. Then it's Johnson. And Walker kicks to Capella. 6 on the shot clock. Here's Walker. And the shot no good. A bit short.
You almost have to assume he's going to knock those down when he is that open.
Here's Maxey. And it goes for the 5th time in 10 shots for him this game.
And obviously his momentum from the last game has carried over here tonight.
Yeah, that's why he's hot. He's playing with a lot of confidence. That's why they're going to him with such consistency.
Now, here's Walker. 2 free throws coming up, and they call the shooting foul.
Really the right play defensively. If you can't block, force him to the line.
It's the first that brings them within 5. Both good from the line that time.
Nice work there. This is a point in the game where if you get a chance to close the gap, you've got to make the most of it.
Time called here. Oakland decides to talk it over. They're up by 4. There's 48 seconds left in the fourth. And now we present our New Balance player of the game, Anthony Davis.
And guys, it's been a rugged brand of defense he's played. I don't know why they keep taking the ball at him. It seems like every time they have, he's come up with the rejection. And with every block, he's only gotten more and more fired up.
And keeping us updated from the sideline, let's swing it over to David Aldridge.
Guys, during that break, I heard Oakland's coach talking to his team. He was measured in his words. He told his players, look, we're doing a lot of good things out there, really good things. Stay confident and stay positive in your approach. Trying to keep their hopes up, Kevin.
Thanks so much, David. There's 39 seconds left in the fourth quarter of this one, and that one goes out of bounds. Last touch by Walker. Here's Maxey. Shot clock at 6. Over Walker.
I love the way Walker plays defense. He gets right in the grill of his man.
No time to waste on this possession.
Again, they got to get into the play fast and execute. It's your only hope.
Rose against Matthews. Rose, no good. And they foul intentionally. They're going to have to do that now again and again. They're not in the penalty yet.
Honestly, just doing what they have to in order to get the basketball back.
And they go to the intentional foul.
First personal foul. 14.
And that hurts as he doesn't get the first one to fall. Trying to focus now on the second.
At the line for 2.
That's off as well. So he misses both. And so Steve Kerr decides to call a timeout. What do you think, guys?
Trying to stay alive, they've got to work quickly.
Time is of the essence. Basket and a foul. That's got to be the game plan.
Nine seconds left in the fourth quarter. Out to the right wing. And here's Walker outside. That one doesn't go. So it's Oakland picking up the win.
Oakland keeps their season alive with a 75-71 victory here in Game 5 to force Game 6 back to Nevada. Tyrese Maxey led the way with 16 points for Oakland in this one. AD had 15. Evan Mobley with 13. Minute with 7. My boy Jaden Barr did his thing. Not really shooting the ball today. And almost sold the bag. Missing those 2 free throws. But it's alright. As we move on. Kemba had 14 to lead the way. He struggled from the floor though. 5 of 22. 4 of 16. Delore had 12 points. J.D. Davison 11 and 7. Capella had 10 and 14. D. Rose 1 of 8 shooting. Struggled from the floor. If they shoot a little better, they probably win this game. As you see the shooting numbers right here. But Oakland wins and forces Game 6 back to Nevada. So let's see what happens then.
We've got Norman Powell, Tobias Harris out there with Xavier Tillman. And it's the waiter in at the point guard position. 30 seconds left in the fourth.
Timeout Huskies.
And now let's take a look at the New Balance player of the game.
Think about this. He has owned this game from start to finish. Wow, so impressive. The defense literally looked helpless trying to stop him out there. He has been far and away the best player on the court, and it's not close.
Coffee, he's checked in for Sadaransky. Let's check in with our reporter, Allie LaForce.
Thanks, guys. The head coach of the home team had some words for his team over the break. He's trying to keep them grounded. He told them to focus on the task at hand. He said, quote, drown out the noise and let's play our game. This one has that playoff atmosphere. Back to you guys.
And Allie, thanks. Now here's Durant. There's the drive. Oh, great D that time from Harris. And he commits the intentional foul.
Yeah, no, you had to do that. I mean, you can't allow them to dribble out the time.
Exactly. I mean, you got to stop the clock any way possible and hope they alligator arm a few of those free throws.
So he gets them both, and it's a 5-point game.
showing great confidence from the line. That makes this a two-possession game.
Hart from long range, and it's Harris with the rebound. And an intentional foul right there.
Fourth personal foul. Teams in the penalty.
And no good, as the first free throw misses. We'll see if he can hit the second.
Two shots.
And no good on the second free throw, so 0 for 2 there. From deep. Misses the shot. And so it's a victory for the road team in this one.
Richmond keeps their season alive with the 93-88 victory over Montreal in this one. The Huskies were led by KD's 18 points. Nikhil Alexander-Walker had 17. Jeffrey Davion with 14. Trey Mann had 13. And then, I mean, everybody did their little thing. They just didn't get enough stops to win this game. Jay Walking leading the way with 32 points in this one for the Rams. Tobias Harris even helped out with 21 of his own. Tillman with 12 points. LeBron fouled out. Only had 6, 5, and 7 in this one. But Jay Walking's 32 is definitely enough to help Richmond keep the series alive, force it back to Richmond for Game 6. So congrats to the Rams for forcing the series back home. Let's see what happens in Game 6.
We've got 28 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Buckets, while recovering. Here's Buckets. Makes it off the glass. And the Barons lead by 17.
When you allow good scorers to get uncontested shots at the rim, no wonder you're losing.
To me, this has simply stated been a complete lack of defensive attention and focus all night long.
And they do it. They'll move on to round 2. They had control the whole series, and they are just rolling now, winning round 1, 4 games to 1.
And they are going to be tough to beat, Kevin. A few days rest afforded by taking this one in 5. Round 2 should be exciting as well.
Baltimore takes down Florida 90-73 in Game 5 to win the series 4-1 and move on to the second round where they will face off against the Toronto Towers. That will be a fun series. Excited about that one. Congrats, Florida. They made it this far being a play-in team. So they had to win 2 games to get to this point. But congrats to Florida for getting to this point in their season. As for the box scores, Brogdon led the way with 21 for the Barons in this one. Siakam with 15. Josh Green with 12. Chet Holmgren with 12. I even put in 9 points of my own in this one. As for the Hedgehogs, Fultz led the way with 15. Sabonis 14 and 12. Kawhi only 13 points. Zion Admola had 11 points in this one. As we see the numbers right here, it wasn't that much of a big margin outside of the bench points, 31-12. But congrats to the Barons for moving on to the second round. It should be a fun series against Toronto. As for the Hedgehogs, congrats on a great season. I mean, they made it in as a play-in team. They got a game, so they didn't get swept. But congrats to Kawhi and company for doing their thing. Minnesota blows out Colorado Springs by 29 here in Game 5 to take a 3-2 series lead. Cade led the way with 22 points for the Ducks. Embiid had 12, and then the rest of the group, yeah, it wasn't the best effort for Colorado Springs. Jaylen Brown led the way with 28 points for the Monsters. Westbrook had 19. Jackson had 19. JD with 13 and 8 to help the team out. 4 players in double figures is definitely going to get you a win, especially when you shoot 60%, 50%. Well, the free throw was rough. But Minnesota has themselves a 3-2 series lead and has a home game in Game 6 to look to close out and finish off the upset of Colorado Springs. Or will the Ducks win and force Game 7 back home? Let's find out.
Donovan Mitchell taking 2 shots.
So the first one drops, and that gives them a lead.
Strong, athletic, aggressive. Mitchell puts maximum pressure on the defense every night.
Conchar, he's checked in for Doncic.
They're sending guys to the charity stripe way more than they should be. We'd like to see better positioning defensively.
Let's see who's the
All right, we present our New Balance Player of the Game, Donovan Mitchell.
And I'll tell you what, this was one easy pick for sure. From the start, he looked in total control for the entire game. It's incredible to see a player outperforming everyone else on the court.
Time now to hear from our reporter, Allie LaForce.
I was able to listen in on what Taylor Jenkins had to say to his team. He wants all they have to give coming down the stretch, saying, quote, it's not just the big plays. I want to see us making the little plays too, winning the 50-50 balls. That's the effort we need.
Thank you for that, Allie. Emmanuel quickly is out there with Alex Caruso. Then it's Kristaps Porzingis. Then it's John Conchar.
Donovan Mitchell's ready, and he knocked down one of the bigger shots of his game.
Now here's quickly. He can't hit that time. Ooh, solid defense from Mitchell. 1:16 left in the fourth quarter. Fires the three. Tipped. Quickly against Williams. Floats one up. Williams grabs the board.
I'm not sure what happened on that play. May have relaxed a little bit once he got to the rim.
And the shot goes in.
The youngster's not going to buckle or fold. Donovan Mitchell is not afraid of the moment.
Now here's quickly. Clock at 6. And stolen by Simmons. And that's an intentional foul.
Third personal foul.
And he misses the first one. Boy, he wanted that one to go.
You know Simmons has put up with a lot of criticism about his game. But give him credit. He's a talented player who just wants to get better. You know, I think it's desperation time for them.
For them to have a chance, everything has to go right on both ends from this point on.
Aldama. And it's good. Oh, and that cuts the lead to just 5.
Now, what's the saying? Don't box out, you get your feelings hurt.
And Utah calls time here. They're in front by 5. And we've got 28 seconds left in the fourth quarter of this one. And the foul called on Emmanuel quickly. And so he's picked up his final foul, and he'll sit the rest of this one out. Doncic is checked in for quickly. He drops the first one, and that increases the lead to 6. And he hits both free throws here, and it's a 7-point game.
Making the most of his trip to the line and helping them extend their lead.
The loudest and craziest fans get a free t-shirt. Let's hear it, fans.
.27 seconds left to play in the fourth. Doncic, no good. Doncic against Simmons. And he stepped on the line, so they turn it over.
Substitution for Kansas City.
And short of a miracle, they're walking out of here with a tough loss.
They fought all night. A terrific effort, but they just couldn't make enough big plays.
And here's Jones. And so the home crowd treated to a win.
Utah takes the 7-point win in Game 5 to take a 3-2 series lead. D. Mitch, 31 points. And then he had 3 other players with 10 points to help him out. Kispert, Stewart, and Beasley. And then Ben Simmons, 8, 8, and 6. Nasir had 9 points. As for the Bison, Lucas scored 28, Porzingis with 22, Bogdanovich had 14. Emmanuel quickly didn't even make a shot. Yeah, he struggled. Kansas City will have to go home for Game 6 and have to win it to force a Game 7 back to Utah, or Utah will just finish it out on the road. Let's see what happens, though.
Can be debilitating and so unpredictable. You just never know when they're going to hit. Let's hope he's in the clear.
And Michael Porter Jr. being drafted was a bit of a high risk, high reward due to the fact that physically he needed to come a long way to be consistent in the NBA. We may be seeing signs that it's going to pay off with huge dividends.
And Cincinnati making a change here. Washington's checked in. And now let's Let's present our New Balance player of the game, Lamelo Ball.
And in terms of his shooting, this has been one of the more accurate performances you'll ever see. I mean, he's been in constant motion, creating a lot of good looks for himself. But still, even when you're wide open, you expect to miss some of the time. And that has not been the case here tonight. This guy has made everything.
Now let's go to the sideline and catch up with our Hall of Famer, David Aldridge.
Hey guys, during the break, I heard Nashville's coach talking with his team. His concern was both their inconsistency and their amount of three-point shots. He said, let's move the ball for good shots. If we have an open three, take it. Otherwise, let's attack the rim and put some pressure on these guys. Kevin?
Thank you, David. On the court for Nashville, Williams is out there with Ingram. Then there's baddest one, and it's Giddey in at the shooting guard position. Now here's Porter. Just 5 to shoot. He drains it as the shot clock ticks down. And now an 8-point Lions lead.
And that's exactly what they're going for on that shot.
Here's Ingram. The shot, no good. And it's Cincinnati the other way. Charity stripe shot, and it's good off the back of the rim and in. Ball's got the lead up to 10 now for Cincinnati. Ingram against Porter. Will it go? It's rebounded by Cincinnati.
I don't think the defense does enough out there to bother him. I think that one's all on him. Just a flat-out miss.
Washington passes the ball. Suggs kicks the ball. Good on the triple. And the Lions lead by 13.
And once they smelled blood in the water, you could see the killer instinct take over.
Yeah, up until that point, a competitive game. But once they broke through that barrier, it was all them. Complete control.
So we see Cincinnati get the win here.
Cincinnati blows Nashville out in the fourth quarter, outscoring them 28-3. And from 3-0 down, Cincinnati has tied this series and forced a winner-go-home Game 7, as Nashville will have to go home and try to avoid being the first team to ever blow a 3-0 lead in our series history. We had Toronto blow a 3-1 lead back in Season 1. But nobody's ever blown a 3-0 series lead. Nashville looking to avoid that in Game 7. Lamelo, 25 points to lead the way for Cincinnati. Michael Porter Jr. had 16. Our boy Dez had 14 points. Josh Christopher had 10 points. Just a really good game. Bam's not really scoring. He needs to score. But, I mean, they're doing their thing, especially with Lamelo leading the way. Zay Phil led the way. 20 points for the enemies. B.I. struggled again with 11 points. If he shoots better in Game 7, they have a shot. Roby had 11 points also. As you look at these numbers right here, as we get ready for the best two words in sports, Game 7.
A minute 37 left in the game. Now here's Walker, tightly guarded, the layup off target.
I mean, he struggles with his finishes sometimes. I mean, it's kept him from being an elite player.
We've got Mobley. He's out there with Anthony Davis. And it's Maxey in at the point. Pass to Davis. 6 on the shot clock. Here's Mobley. Lets it go from 11. The shot comes out.
And this kind of selflessness is great to see. Textbook positioning to draw the charge.
Johnson, he's checked in for Richards.
Jalen Johnson.
Here's Maxey. Walker covering. On the wing, Davis. Over Capella. Yes!
Anthony Davis.
And he's brought them within 2 points now.
Great to see guys who don't back down under pressure.
Yeah, he approached that one with total confidence. He has what it takes to come through in the clutch.
Now here's Walker. Offline with a 3. Here's the franchise. Walker covering. 27 seconds left in the fourth. too long on the shot.
His bad night from the field is only going to get worse if he keeps throwing up shots like that.
All right, guys, what's your take?
A chance to tie it up here.
Or they could take the lead if they play for the 3. Interesting decision.
And now let's present our New Balance Player of the Game, Kemba Walker.
This has been one of the most dominant performances I've ever seen. What's incredible is he has no off switch, just a tremendous motor, and he's making an impact on every single possession. And look at him. You think it's just another game. He is totally in control of his emotions.
Here's Maxey to tie it up. And with that win, they'll be moving on to round 2. And with this win in Game 6, they've won the series. They've got to be happy to be moving on.
And it was a competitive series for sure, one that they can build off of moving forward.
And that about wraps it up from here, folks. We hope you've been...
Tyrese Maxey misses the layup that would have sent this game into overtime, and Nevada holds on to eliminate the Oakland Oaks in 6 to move on to the second round. Kemba Walker, 25 points to lead the way for the Warbirds. Derrick Rose had 13. Jalen Johnson with 12. Just everybody that played scored and contributed to this win. Kemba shot the ball poorly from the field, but they held on and got the win. My boy Jaden Barr led the way with 17 points for him. AD had 15. Maxey, 11 points. Mobley with 11 points. They had all these players scoring. Just didn't get enough stops when they needed it, and now they're going to be going home. But a great season for Oakland. They got the number 4 seed. Had a really good season for Nevada. The 5 seed, they're moving on to the second round where they will take on the winner of the Utah-Kansas City series. They were excited about that. But congrats to both teams on a successful season. Congrats to Nevada for keeping up their hopes of winning the championship this year.
Later out there with LeBron James. Then there's James Wiseman. Then there's Harris. And it's Tillman in at the 4-man position.
Well, he's much better than that. Really no excuse for missing that lay-in.
And finished off by KD.
And they came in determined to take this one. It's going to be a happy flight home.
Yep, to have a stress-free win on the road, very satisfying. The fans are already headed for the exit.
And obviously his momentum from the last game has carried over here tonight.
And you know that's how it goes with him. I mean, his hot streaks, guys, don't last minutes. They last days.
And they're going to move on to the conference semifinals. It took them 6 games to do it, Greg, but they finally asserted themselves and move on to round 2.
And I really think it benefits a team to have a competitive series in round 1. It gets those playoff juices kind of flowing, if you will. Prevents any kind of complacency from setting in.
Montreal takes advantage in the fourth quarter and finishes out the series in 6 by winning 107-97. Richmond will go home, but can't even hold your heads. Don't put your heads down, guys. You guys played great getting into the play-in and making it to this point. And you forced Montreal to go 6 games after it looked like they were going to sweep you guys. But great series for Richmond. JayWalking finishes out the season with a 39-point performance. LeBron had 19. Paulo had 10. I mean, everybody contributed, just didn't get enough stops. In this one, Nickeil Alexander-Walker led the way with 26 points for the Huskies. Brandon Clark had 18. Jeffrey Davion had 16. KD had 16, 6, and 6. Just really good game for both teams, honestly. Just Montreal played like the better team in this series. Congrats to them. 49-19, and the bench points is definitely going to help you win a game like that. So congrats to the Huskies for moving on, and they will be taking on whoever wins Game 7 between Nashville and Cincinnati. So they're going to have a little bit of rest compared to their opponents. 1 day extra. But congrats to both teams on a successful season, and congrats to Montreal for keeping their championship hopes alive.
A minute 50 left to play in the fourth quarter of this one. Inside. Now here's Embiid. Tight defense on him. That ties the game.
You can't discount Embiid's value as a passer. That vision and court awareness. These are traits a team loves to have in a big man.
They've got Draymond Green, and it's Najee in at the point guard position. Pass to Green. Just 5 to shoot. Got a piece of it. A minute 20 left to play in the fourth. Out to the right wing. Here's Cunningham. Shot clock at 5. Oh, the go-ahead bucket, no good.
And you never want to give a shooter like him a clean look.
Watford. Offensive board. Jackson can't get it to go.
That's the shot you hope for. Right at the rim. Just couldn't capitalize.
McConnell outside. To take the lead. Embiid can't hit.
Yeah, we're not used to seeing him get bottled up like that. Wow.
Pass to Najee. Over Halliburton. And Cunningham pulls it down. 2-second difference between shot and game clock.
Oh, it falls!
Timeout. Assisted.
Big-time shot, sending his teammates into a frenzy.
I'll tell you, these guys have worked so hard together. Everyone pulling in the same direction. Beautiful to watch.
And Minnesota calls time here. They're down by 2. 16 seconds left in the final quarter. And now let's take a look at the New Balance player of the game, Joel Embiid.
You know what's interesting? It seems like he's hitting everything he's putting up there. I mean, he's caught fire and just has continued on with the attack. I mean, his ability to pick the D apart, wow. So impressive, so incredible.
Here's Brown. Oh, he missed it! The visiting club takes the win on the road. They're able to force a winner-take-all Game 7.
Colorado Springs defeats Minnesota, and we will have a Game 7 in this series. Jaylen Brown, 26 points to lead the way for the Monsters in this one. J.D. Hager with 12 and 12. Westbrook had 10 points. Yeah, weird looking lineup in at the end of the game as they got the game-winning bucket. Cunningham led the way with 22. Embiid had 20. Then the rest of the supporting cast did their thing. McConnell's only made bucket was the game winner. That's crazy as you come over here and look at these stats. We will have a win or go home Game 7 as Minnesota's play-in luck or play-in run. Their run from the play-in tournament to here going to end, or is Colorado Springs going to get upset by the Monsters? Let's find out in the best 2 words in sports. Game 7. Kansas City blows out Utah by 23 points to force a Game 7 back in Utah. Porzingis with 23, Luka with 22, Christie had 16, Bogdanovich with 10. Just a well-rounded performance. Everybody that scored at least had 5 points. Well, everyone that played had 5 points for Kansas City. Donovan Mitchell had 27 and was literally by himself. Didn't get any help from his supporting cast in this one, as Utah will now be forced to win at home, or for the second straight year, it's the top seed in the West going to go home early. Let's find out. Game 7 next.
Taking 2 shots.
The first one falls. That one falls, so he hits both of them. 27 seconds left to play in the final quarter. Here's baddest one. Basket counts.
I mean, every time down the floor, this is what you're trying to do. Find the right matchup.
And they can just let the clock run out here.
Cannot argue with the W.
Suggs with the ball. And they do it. They'll move on to round 2. thrilling fashion, guys, taking round one in what certainly will go down, guys, it's one of the most competitive series this year.
And you always love a game 7, and no disappointment here. And these guys are ready and excited for round 2. Maybe a bit tired, but the adrenaline is still pumping.
We have league history on our hands. The Cincinnati Lions have won 4 straight games and come back from 3-0 down to eliminate the 3-seeded Nashville enemies. And guess what, guys? For the 3rd straight season, both 6 seeds move out of the first round. I guess if you're the 6th seed, that's what you want to do in life right now, because you're guaranteed to get out the first round. 6-0 now. The 6th seed has never lost in the first round. Cincinnati, 98-76 victories. Zayfield led the way with 18 for Nashville. Giddy had 13. B.I. didn't shoot enough. If he shot more, maybe they get closer. But 12 points. Valanciunas, 12 points. Just disappointing end to the season for Nashville. They were 1 win away from moving on to the second round and couldn't finish it out. 4 straight games. So, sad ending for Nashville. Michael Porter Jr. led the way with 22 points for the Lions. Lamelo had 21. Jalen Suggs with 15. Bam had 12. Boy Dez had 8 and 6. Just Cincinnati didn't give up. They got down 3-0 and just kept their heads high and said we're not going to give up. And that's what happened. Cincinnati coming all the way back from 3-0 down to move on to the second round and a date with the Montreal Huskies. This should be fun. We will preview all our second round matchups at the end of this video. Let's move it on to, we got 2 more game 7s. Let's get into them.
There's 31 seconds left in the final quarter. Outside, Brown takes the 3. They get it back. The great uneasy 2 on the layup.
Well, he takes care of salvaging that possession for the offense by getting on the offensive glass.
McConnell against Westbrook. Now here's McConnell. They've won it. Next stop, conference semifinals. And what a way to cap off a riveting series in round 1. They seem to feed off the pressure of this game 7.
Well, they had to put a lot of energy into winning this series. They'll be a little worn down physically, but from a mental standpoint, they'll be riding high after battling so hard to win this series.
Minnesota gave Colorado Springs a run at their money, and it wasn't enough in the end as the Ducks take the Game 7 victory to move on to the second round and a date with the Alaska Aces after their 86-69 victory. Embiid led the way with 15 points in this one. Justin Jackson had 13. Landry Shamet had 12. Cade Cunningham with 11. You know, everybody contributed that scored. Everybody that scored had at least 6 points in this one as the Ducks move on. As for the Monsters, Jaylen Brown led the way with 23. Westbrook had 13, and then the rest of the group just did their thing. JD, 4 points, 10 rebounds. But shout out Minnesota, play-in winners. They gave Colorado Springs everything they could ask for in this series. Sent this series all the way to 7. Just wasn't enough. Best thing that happened for the Ducks was getting Embiid back. He came back for Game 4 and played these last 4 games. So, congrats to the Ducks for moving on. But we have one more Game 7 to watch.
Utah's on defense. 6-point game. Here's Doncic. Good on the baseline, Jay. Doncic has got 7 points for the quarter.
Well, Luka has options all over the floor. He's a versatile shooter who can utilize the mid-range.
Setting the floor for Kansas City. They've got Porzingis. Doncic out there with Marcus Morris. And it's Caruso in at the 2. Here's Caruso following the basket by Donovan Mitchell. Doncic outside. Cranes the three-pointer. Doncic has got 26 points.
And it doesn't matter if Luka is working on or off the ball. You have to stay connected to him defensively.
Mitchell against Doncic. The shot by Mitchell, no good.
Not sure what the D was doing there. Clearly a breakdown. You can ill afford to give a guy like him that good a look.
Pass to Concho. Three-pointer. Another three for Kansas City.
And guys, just really impressed. They made big plays when it counted, and that's why it's going to be on to the next round for Kansas City.
They made more foul shots, and that was the difference.
That was a big advantage. The other team was defending with their hands instead of moving their feet, and they handed them a lot of easy points at the line.
And for a series that went the distance, you have to admire how they were able to close it out here as the time winds down.
Yeah, well, you never know going into a Game 7 like this who is going to rise to the occasion. I think they showed they had exactly what was needed, that extra grit and grind to fight for the win, fight for the series, and congratulations are definitely in order.
And you have to look back at this and see the huge game it was.
For Luka Doncic.
He was the alpha dog out there tonight. Totally in charge of this game. No matter what the situation was, he was the one to dictate the action.
2 seconds separating the shot clock and game clock. And Doncic, here we go. The pass to Caruso. 5 on the clock. And he uses the glass on the layup.
They just blocked out the noise, kept on grinding, and this is their reward.
Showing remarkable poise and focus throughout the game. A sustained effort across the board.
And they're going to move on to the conference semifinal. Thrilling fashion, guys, taking round 1 in what certainly will go down. Guys, it's one of the most competitive series this year.
And you always love a Game 7, and no disappointment here. And these guys are ready and excited for round 2. Maybe a bit tired, but the adrenaline is still pumping.
Luka and Kansas City go from play-in team to upsetting the league's best team as the Utah Range go home in 7 after this 108-95 victory. Donovan Mitchell all by himself, 35 points to lead the way for this Utah team. Nawara had 17 off the bench. Najee, is that Najee? Nafim Ahmed had 11 points. It's crazy. Luka drops 28 in an elimination game. Porzingis with 19. Caruso with 14. Mo Bamba had 13. Just big time team win. Kansas City with the 9 seed won 2 straight play-in games and then upset the league's best regular season record in the Utah Range. And now move on to round 2. And here is the updated bracket. In the West, it's going to be the 5-seeded Nevada Warbirds versus the 8-seeded Kansas City Bison. And we have the 2-seeded Colorado Springs Ducks and the 6-seeded Alaska Aces. Out east, we have the 1-seed Baltimore Barons and the 5-seed Toronto Towers. And we have the 2-seed Montreal Huskies and the 6-seed Cincinnati Lions. We are looking forward to a fun second round. With that being said, let's go ahead and preview that. But actually, before we preview that, let's just go ahead and check out the playoff stats. And check out the league leader in points is Steph Curry, averaging 32 points per game so far in the playoffs. And like I said, Donovan Mitchell, we got to get you some help, big dog. He averaged 28.3 points per game in a losing effort. That's crazy. And rebounds, DeAndre Ayton leading the way at 13.2. Jokic had 13 a game for the Steam. And then assists per game, Jokic also led the way, 8.2. Chris Paul had 8 a game. That's crazy. Jokic leading in steals also, 2.2 a game. Caruso 2.1, and then blocks, AD 2.5 a game, while JD was at 1.9 a game. Field goal percentage leader, DeAndre Ayton at 69%. 3-point percentage, Tyus Jones at 63%. And then free throw percentage, you're going to have a bunch of people at 100%. But let's go ahead and preview round 2 of our playoffs. Alright guys, let's go ahead and preview round 2 of our playoffs. We'll start it out in the Eastern Conference. We will start it out with the top seed left in the playoffs. The number 1 seed, Baltimore Barons. I gotta remember, I snapped now. But Baltimore, the number 1 seed, taking on the 5-seeded Toronto Towers. This should be a fun series for Baltimore in the 5-game series win over Florida. They averaged 87.2 points per game, while only allowing 80.6 points per game. And Malcolm Brogdon led the way in scoring for them at 15.2 points per game. As for Toronto, they also went through a quick 5-game series over the 4-seeded Illinois Steam. In that series, they scored 95.2 points per game while allowing 86.6 points per game. Being led by the playoff leader in points scored, Steph Curry, with his 32 points per game. And let's go ahead and preview look at their regular season series. And their series was split 1 apiece, both teams winning on their home courts. Toronto won the first matchup at home by a score of 87-77, while Baltimore won on their home floor 78-75. So 2 close games in the regular season, both teams winning on their home courts. Baltimore coming off their 5-game series win over Florida. Toronto coming off their 5-game series win over Indianapolis, Illinois. So both teams well rested, having to wait for the other series to end. And I'm not gonna lie, Baltimore's in trouble. Steph Curry's on a mission this year. He's averaging 32 points per game. This is the first time we're seeing Steph out of the first round. As you guys know, year 1 of our custom league, when we were on 2K21, they had a 3-1 series lead against Kawhi in Louisville, and then blew that lead. And then last year, as the 2 seed, were knocked out in the first round by Cleveland, the 7 seed. So seeing Steph get out the first round is amazing. Baltimore playing their first playoff appearance and number 1 seed in the East, and now they're at this point after taking down Kawhi. I think this is going to be an interesting series. I think Baltimore's in trouble, though. I think, because I play for Baltimore. Well, my player plays for Baltimore, and I think he's going to be in trouble trying to guard Steph. It's going to be a tough matchup trying to contain Steph, and if you keep Steph from scoring, he's still got Clay right there. So, I mean, and I think Steph Curry's going to be too much for us this series. I think maybe we can be able to contain him for a game or 2, but you're not going to be able to contain him in a whole 7-game series. And I am going to take the upset. I will take Steph Curry and the Toronto Towers to beat the number 1 seeded Baltimore Barons. I will say this is going 7 games. Like I said, I just feel like Steph's going to be too much. Steph's on a mission. Never been in the playoffs in our custom league. So he's like, I'm going to go get mine this year. Trust and believe that. I'm going to go get mine. So I will be taking the Toronto Towers to upset the number 1 seeded Baltimore Barons in 7 games. Alright guys, the other series in the East is the number 2 seeded Montreal Huskies and the 6th seeded Cincinnati Lions. Should be a fun series. Looking at both teams, Montreal coming into this series averaging 94 points per game while giving up 88.8 points per game. KD led the way with 22.7 points per game as they knocked out the 7th-seeded Richmond Rams in 6 games. They were up 3-0, and then Richmond stole 2 straight games. But going to Richmond, they finished out that series in 6. As for Cincinnati, they come in averaging 85.1 points per game while allowing 82.1 points per game, with Lamelo Ball leading the way with 21 points per game. Cincinnati, as you know, came back from 3-0 down to upset the 3-seeded Nashville enemies to get to this point. Looking at their regular season, they split 1 apiece, winning on home courts. Of course, Cincinnati won the first matchup on their home court by a score of 88-71. Montreal won on their home court 88-80. So 2 games, 1 on each other's home courts. I'm curious to see what Cincinnati has left in them now, considering that, they were down 3-0. Nashville just needed to win 1 game just to finish it off. And then Cincinnati went on a run, won 4 straight games to get to this point. As for Montreal, they were in the same situation as Nashville. They just needed to win 1 game. after going up 3-0, then lost games 4 and 5. But they knocked out the noise and avoided going to Game 7 by winning on the road in Richmond. This is going to be a fun series. It's going to be fun seeing KD. I don't know if De'Aaron Fox will be available for the first couple games. You know, he's hurt, so Jeffrey Davion's going to have to take over as the starting point guard. And he did all right. I mean, he did his thing. But it's going to be interesting to see what Cincinnati does. I think in order for this to be a close series, Cincinnati has to steal at least one of the first 2 games in Montreal, especially with De'Aaron being out of the lineup for Montreal. I think Lamelo's going to have to put on a show. He's going to have to at least score 30 in one of those 2 games for him to win the game. But when it's all said and done, I feel like KD's going to have enough scoring to motor the team past Cincinnati. And I will be taking Montreal to win this series. It just depends on what happens the first couple games. I mean, like I said, De'Aaron's going to be out probably the first 2 games. So we'll see if LaMelo and company can at least steal a game on the road. But if they're not able to steal a game on the road, then Montreal's going to finish this off with ease. But I am going to take the Montreal Huskies to take down the Cincinnati Lions in 6 games. And according to my predictions, having the battle for Canada in the championship series, we would have Montreal versus Toronto in the Eastern Conference Finals. But we'll see what happens. Let's go ahead and preview the Western Conference now. Alright guys, let's go ahead and preview the Western Conference. And we'll start out with the higher seed, the highest seed remaining out west. And we will start out with the number 2 seeded Colorado Springs Ducks, as they take on the 6th-seeded Alaska Aces. I forgot to snap again. Y'all gonna have to start yelling at me in the comments. But let's go ahead and preview this. Colorado Springs, they averaged 87, or not bad. I'm looking at the points allowed. They gave up 87.3 a game while only scoring 81.7 points per game. So Cade Cunningham led the way with 20.9 points per game in their 7-game series win over Minnesota. And with those numbers, you could tell the games they lost were blowouts. They got blown out by Minnesota. But the games they won were close games. As for Alaska, the Aces lead all playoff teams remaining, as they scored 99.2 points per game in their first round series while allowing 95.8, with DeAndre Ayton leading the way at 18.8 points per game as they got by the LA Palms in 5 games. So, looking at their season series, it was, again, a series split. The only difference is, never mind, both teams won on their home courts. Both teams won their home courts. Alaska won at home 110-93, while Colorado Springs won 99-80. So, 2 games on each other's home courts were blowouts. This is going to be a fun series. I'm not counting out Alaska at all. It's going to be interesting because we get a matchup in this series that features Cade Cunningham versus Chris Paul, and then you get DeAndre Ayton and Embiid. That should be fun just for those matchups by themselves. This is going to be fun, though. I feel like this is going to be a fun series. Just depends on who can stop who. Colorado Springs coming off their 7-game series. Alaska's coming off a 5-game series, so they've been rested up. They're ready for this. If Alaska wants to make noise, I feel like they should go to Colorado Springs and in the first game punch them in the mouth. Steal game 1 at their place and tell them, like, hey, we're here. We bout that. Like, we here. We not going down without fighting chance, you know? So I want to see Alaska go in there, punch them in the mouth in game 1 and be like, yeah, we're here. Yeah, we're not going down easy just because you're a 2 seed. We just knocked down the 3 seed. We'll knock down the 2 seed. Don't play with us. But altogether, I think Cade and Embiid, I think Embiid's going to end up showing up. I mean, he was hurt. He showed up for game 4 of the series and finished up the series. I feel like with him being here for a full series, that'll definitely help Cade out. Yeah, I think Embiid's going to be way too much to handle for Ayton. But, I mean, Ayton's been doing his thing in the playoffs and all season. But that's going to be a fun matchup. I think that's the most important matchup is, can Ayton stop Embiid, and will Embiid be able to stop Ayton? they're going to stop each other, then basically you're leaning at, okay, can CP stop Cade, and can Cade stop CP? I mean, it's going to be a fun series. I think this is going all 7. I'm taking the Ducks to win this series in 7. Just feel like Embiid and Cade are going to be too much at the end for Chris Paul and 8 in the handle. So I'm taking the Colorado Springs Ducks in 7 games over the Alaska Aces. Alright, our final playoff series features the number 5 seeded Nevada Warbirds and the number 8 seed Kansas City Bison. Let's get into it. The preview. God, start yelling at me, guys. I gotta snap. Alright, let's start out. Nevada, the 5 seed. 81.3 points per game in their first series. They also gave up a total of 76.3 points per game, while Kemba led the way at 22.8 points per game in their 6-game series win over the 4-seeded Oakland Oaks. As for Kansas City, they averaged 96.7 points per game while allowing 93.7 points per game. And Luka led the way at 22 points per game as they upset the number 1 seeded Utah Range in 7 games. And this is all after winning 2 play-in games too. So they have a lot of experience right now. For their season matchup, guess what? It was a series split. The only difference is they won on each other's road courts. Kansas City went to Nevada in the first matchup and won 83-78. Nevada went to Kansas City in the next matchup, won 108-100. So 2 good matchups in the regular season. One on each other's home courts. And this is going to be a fun series for the fact that Kansas City came off of playing a 9-10 game and then had to go to Las Vegas and eliminate them just to get to the 8 seed, and then took down Utah, who had the best regular season record in 7 games. For Nevada, they got past Oakland. They got past AD and my boy Jaden Bard and Tyrese Maxey, all of them, and they're meeting up here. And to be honest with you, I'm still going to be rolling with Kansas City in this series. I feel like Luka is going to be too much to handle. I mean, Luka, in that first round you saw for Nevada where Kemba was hooping out, and then you got Derrick Rose had advantage of a 36-point performance in one of the games. I mean, if they're going to both do that this series and Nevada has a shot, I just feel like Kansas City is going to be too much with Luka. Porzingis, I feel like Porzingis is going to show up and help him out in this series. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like Kansas City has more to offer roster-wise, scoring-wise than Nevada does. So I'm going to take Kansas City to win this series in 6 games. Meaning I would have Colorado Springs, Kansas City in the Western Conference Finals. We'll see how my predictions went. In round 1, we got the Baltimore. We picked Baltimore and Toronto right. Didn't get the games right. We picked Colorado Springs, Minnesota perfectly, and the rest of them we got wrong. We picked upsets, and they did not happen. So, that's going to bring it into this video. I hope you guys did enjoy this. Round 1 was fun. Hopefully round 2 next week is going to be fun. That'll be out next week. Appreciate you guys for the love and support. Let me know your predictions below. Who you taking in these series? Like I said, I'm taking Toronto, Montreal, Colorado Springs, and Kansas City to get to the conference finals. Just let me know who you guys are picking. Appreciate you guys for the support. If you guys made it this far and haven't already, make sure you guys like, comment, share, subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss an upload. Check the link in the description. Got my link tree down there for all my social media, so make sure you guys follow me there so you don't miss an update on the channel or ways to get involved on the channel. I love you guys for all the support that you guys show me. And yeah, I will catch you guys on the next one.
It takes time.